Welcome back to Savage Showdowns. This week we will be again returning to the battle arena. This week, per fan suggestion, we will have the giraffe facing off against the massive clawed Therizinosaurus. But first, if you like this content, give it a like and consider subscribing. It's free and it really helps the channel out. Let's start by getting a sense for the giraffe's build. Size. Large male giraffes can stand up to 18 feet tall and weigh an impressive 2,600 pounds, though individuals larger than this have been reported, especially in captivity. Strength. A giraffe can kick with a force of up to 2,000 psi. This is enough to break a lion's skull and is comparable to being hit by a small car at low speeds. The neck of a giraffe can also support 600 pounds, and they are used combined with their long necks to generate high forces to headbutt other male giraffes. Interestingly, though not necessarily critical, giraffes have the same number of vertebrae in their neck as humans do, 7. Speed. Giraffes can run up to 35 miles per hour. In addition, due to their build and skeletal structure, they can cover a lot of ground quickly and don't use much energy while moving, resulting in very high stamina. Stealth. Despite their large size, giraffes can be surprisingly stealthy. Their reticulated pattern, or the sort of square-shaped, distinctive pattern they have, allows them to blend in with their background. Their tall size and binocular vision also results in them being able to see most of the way around themselves and to spot predators from a distance. Weapons and armor. Giraffes have many weapons, including sharp 12-inch hooves that are used to deliver the impressive kicks discussed previously. This also means that even if you survive the kick, a nasty gash will likely result. They also have small horns on top of their heads that can deliver some very painful blows when combined with their headbutts, although these are used more against other male giraffes than against predators. In terms of armor, giraffes have strong bones to support their weight, which also double as defense against predators. Their tall size also means that their vital organs are not within reach of any predators they frequently encounter, such as lions. Now let's look at our prehistoric challenger, the Therizinosaurus. Size. Therizinosaurus was a massive herbivore that could go up to 33 feet long and stand 16 feet tall and weigh a startling 11,000 pounds. It was also a theropod, despite being a herbivore, and was one of the very few theropod herbivores. Strength. It is difficult for me to find an exact number for Therizinosaurus' strength, as its bite force isn't really measured, and the swinging force of its arms is very debatable and varied. However, the long arms and robust forearms it has suggest heavy use and could have been swung with high force. More on both of those points later. Speed. The Therizinosaurus was likely very slow, with a top speed of roughly 10 miles per hour, as its anatomy was more suited for foraging and walking, as well as turning in place, than it was for high speeds. Stealth. As a herbivore with a slow speed, the Therizinosaurus was likely at least reasonably stealthy. That said, it is impossible to know for sure, as it is with any extinct animal. Weapons and armor. For weapons, the Therizinosaurus is most famous for one in particular: its large sickle-shaped claws that grew over 3 feet long. Unfortunately, there is currently a lot of debate for the use of these claws. Some say they were for defense and could be used to slash and disembowel predators, and were the Therizinosaurus' primary defense mechanism. More recent studies are starting to suggest that the claws weren't durable enough to be used in combat, being primarily for mating, display purposes, and maybe even threat displays, if it couldn't get away. Threat displays that, in truth, it wouldn't be able to back up. And foraging. For our purposes and an interesting fight, we will assume that the claws could be used for combat, but I will briefly acknowledge another scenario if they weren't capable for such a thing to be used at the end of the video. In terms of armor, the Therizinosaurus likely had some minor scalation on its skin, as many modern birds do. It also likely had some feathers covering its body. These would perceivably limit or dampen the effectiveness of both slashing and blunt attacks, at least to some degree. So those are our two combatants, but who wins? Let's find out. Our arena for this fight will be a savanna, but one that is wooded to a reasonable degree, allowing our two towering giants to hide. Our giraffe is eating some leaves from an acacia tree. its prehensile tongue wrapping around the thorns and carrying the leaves back to its mouth. A little ways away, the Therizinosaurus is walking around looking for food to graze on, the harsh weather of the season making it harder and harder to get enough to eat. It spots the acacia tree, as well as some other green shrubs nearby, and begins to head in that area. As it gets close, the giraffe spots it and takes a stand. Normally, the two would share the food or one would move on and eat somewhere else. However, times are tough, and this tree and the nearby shrubs could be the difference between life and death. The giraffe stamps its host, throwing its neck and horns around in a little display. The Therizinosaurus responds with its own territorial display, spreading its arms and claws wide and letting out a shrill shriek. Once it becomes clear that neither is backing down, the Therizinosaurus charges, hoping to spook the giraffe despite its slow speed. It doesn't work, and the much faster giraffe simply moves out of the way before delivering a powerful kick. The Therizinosaurus's feathers and scalation dampen the blow, but it still hurts and leaves a gash in the dinosaur's side. The Therizinosaurus swipes with its claws after again letting out a shriek. The claws barely reach the giraffe due to the distance, but still leave 3 large gashes that truthfully aren't very deep. The giraffe again kicks the dinosaur, but the major weight difference prevents it from doing any serious damage. The Therizinosaurus again swipes with its claws, this time catching the front of the giraffe and getting a much deeper cut that causes severe damage to the shoulders and muscles of the giraffe, as well as inducing severe bleeding. The giraffe realizes it can't win this fight and retreats, eventually succumbing to blood loss, infection, and starvation. The Therizinosaurus wins. The major deciding factor for this fight was size. The giraffe's weapons were designed for both lighter and shorter adversaries such as lions and hyenas, while the Therizinosaurus was a much bigger creature that was designed to stand up to tall opponents as needed. That said, if the claws on the Therizinosaurus were not able to be used as weapons, this fight would have been very different. I'm not sure the Therizinosaurus would have lost, but the giraffe would have been able to fight longer and do more damage as a result of the lack of an offensive capability on its opponent's part. That said, the size difference was great enough. I feel the Therizinosaurus would have won anyways. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Feel free to suggest any future fights you'd like to see. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next Savage Showdown.